How are we there, guys? And welcome to another episode of the Smashing Crossbar Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Josh. Benny is unfortunately a little toothless tonight, so I've done some digging and scrounged up anybody who I could find, and Robbie's been kind enough to jump on into the hot seat tonight from the Red Army, talk a bit of football, a bit of A-League in general, and obviously we'll find out what's been going on around Adelaide and plenty to talk about it from a Jets point of view. It's been an interesting day. New signing, and obviously the last couple of days, what's been going on in the fans' point of view, I suppose. The supporter group has decided to sort of pull up stumps for a bit. So yeah, we'll talk a bit about that. Benny will be in the chat, so he's around. But we'll get the word from Robbie first, mate. How are you?
I thought I was your first choice, mate.
Nah, no, mate. I scrambled right down to the friggin' bottom. You know what I mean? I figured I wouldn't want to upset you, and I figured you'd have so much on tonight, and you'd be a busy man. So I figured I don't want to bother him. I'll see if all the rejects are, the ones that are really doing nothing and probably playing with themselves. Benny Jurgensen from Western United, something like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
But how's things, mate? It wasn't that long ago we had you on, which was good.
Yeah, obviously a fair bit's happened since there. We had the meeting with the APL, which, there was obviously some blowback on the socials in regards to what people were hoping for, expecting, and to be brutally honest, imagining should have happened. Apart from that, I think overall with the terms of reference that we set out with, we achieved about 99% of it. One of them, which is the grand final being moved, was brutally advised to us as to why it wasn't a viable option at this stage, given the fact that they've signed with a government agency, going up against a government who writes laws for a living. Yep. Trying to get out of a contract that's worth $12 million is going to end in quite severe litigation and probably cost you more than that to try and weasel out. So it wasn't the ultimate result we were hoping or we wanted, but it was the best result that we were able to get.
It's an interesting one when you think about it, because since you guys all sat down, that's every club sat down with the APL, not much has been said. Like nothing's really, happened since. We've seen what happened to Melbourne Victory, and they've been punished for that severely, from a fan point of view and a club point of view, and I suppose a state point of view as well. Because at the end of the day, if you don't get fans into the stadiums like that, hurts the state, in general. So but since you guys sort of sat down, and obviously the verdicts and that have been handed down for Melbourne Victory and all the supporters involved, not much has really happened. Not not that I've seen anyway. From how full on it was, and everyone was against it, and this is ridiculous, and we're going to protest, and we're going to do this. Ever since it sort of happened, everyone's just sort of backed off into their little corners and gone, "Oh shit, they mean business." Have you noticed that, or is it just me?
So. When we released our statement, we're aware that the APL released a statement through the APL, for a keep up. So that was mirroring and confirming our agreement and our negotiations with them. I guess the one thing I can say is I would rather have done right than right now. A lot of people are saying give them till the end of financial year. Why are we waiting until the end of year? Yeah. At the end of the day, you're asking about the potential of removing the current board or removing certain board members, and wanting to make sure that we've got the correct people in place to make sure that the future of the game is paramount. So I would rather them give and have enough time to be able to prove that they take our requirements seriously, And we've already notified to them if it's not adhered to, if it's not agreed to, we are back to ground one, which is we go back to our protests, and we have notified them that may even be boycotts. You know, the last thing you want to see is your main active supports across the country not even rocking up because they've had enough. You know, so as I said, it is overall. We've made mention as well to the APL specifically. There's been a very sly sneak around the fact that of an apology. Obviously, they have made aware that they are aware that it was an oversight.
Right.
And I think, unfortunately, you know, you guys have probably seen it yourself. Any time that you're dealing with a Sydney-centric organisation, it's Sydney-based. Okay, you have a look at the last couple of years with regards to Matilda-based games, Socceroos-based games. 75% of those games have been played in New South Wales.
Yeah.
You know, you've got other locations around Australia that could easily have some of those games, and not once have they been mentioned. So, I mean, I can't even tell you the last time we had the Socceroos or Matildas play in Australia, because it's normally something that's not mentioned. So, I'm hoping, obviously that's an FA point of view. I'm hoping from an APL point of view, though, we get something that is more across the board, some more Australian-centric thinking rather than a specific state. So, you know, looking at the game in Tasmania on the weekend, it's exactly what we're talking about when they're looking at bringing in the last two teams. Tasmania is an untapped market. It is something that we could have easily had them come along, and it's brand new supporters. These are supporters that aren't invested in other clubs, or if they are invested in other clubs, are unable to normally attend because they're across the ditch. So, you know, there is some positives coming out there. I don't want to shed light and say it's all negative, because I do believe that there's an opportunity for us to really improve in the future.
Yeah, Tassie's a good one. You know, you think about the cricket and the basketball of late. Good numbers getting to the games and so forth. So there's plenty of people there interested and would be keen to sort of see more games there and so forth. If not, as I said, if not a team itself. You know, again, there's so many places I feel that should be getting teams before we see the double ups and the triple ups in like your Melbournes and your Brisbanes, etc. You know, Canberra has to be a target. Like, I just don't understand how you can call Canberra the capital city and not have a team there. It just fathoms me.
That baffled me. Yeah. At the end of the day, you've already got the women's team who've got an amazing support group already with the Vikings. Correct. Right? You've got a market there that just needs to be built up even further to make sure it's a complete unit between both the female and also the male game, or the women's and the men's game, right? So why didn't that come into consideration? All this was, and back then, if we remember correctly, this was a combined decision with Foxtel, right? They weren't looking at what's the best way to drive in new members. This was what's going to get us more viewers. Oh, that's right, they've got to hire couple million over these other cities. We're going to go with these two because they're the best choice.
Yeah.
So all they did was they diluted the already struggling fan bases and created even additional turmoil for these clubs.
Exactly right. So fingers crossed, Canberra get their opportunity sooner rather than later. I think New Zealand will thrive with another side over there. I think a rivalry in New Zealand would be massive. Just to help with numbers, even for the Knicks in general. It makes people choose. You know, like there's nothing harder than sitting. Let's use Melbourne for an example. Living sort of to the west of Melbourne, but not wanting to support Victory, so you go City. It's just a standard thing. You go, yep, no worries, and it's got nothing to do with, let's not bring into the money factor that they're owned by Manchester City and the City Group and etc. Let's just go Melbourne Victory, full wog. It is what it is. and I want to sort of go different. So let's go friggin' Melbourne City, and then Western United comes into it, and you look at the likes of your Geelong base and your Ballarat base, and Tarneit, Werribee, Melton, where Ben and so forth live. It's a no-brainer, but they still choose. They still get that choice. It's 5 minutes down the road, but do I? You know what I mean? Like I'm always one for choice. I love choice. It's just for me personally. If a team came in and I don't know, let's say the Central Coast were probably half an hour closer, 40 minutes closer. It makes life very difficult. Yes, Newcastle, it's there. They've come in at the, they've been their originals. They're the original sort of teams and that, so it's sort of not one's come in later than the other, so it's virtually pick one. It makes it more interesting. Yeah, it makes you think, who's playing with them at the time. You know what I mean? Tim Cahill's playing at the Central Coast, and Harry Kewell's playing at the Newcastle Jets. When you sort of first come on the scene to pick a team, do you go for location or do you go for the player that you prefer? At the time, it's probably the player. For me, that's sort of what it is. But yeah, as I said, I'm going off track now. But the Canberra should be looking at a spot, definitely. But yeah, as I said, as for the whole grand final scenario, I think it's good that it's died down. I think it sort of just needs to, let's just relax. Let's see what happens. Let's give it this year.
Yep.
Let's see what happens. It's going to happen, and as I'm sure you've seen firsthand, they're not backing down. It's going to happen. So nothing you can say, nothing you can do, is going to change that. They're going to see it out, and we'll see what happens from it. It may be a success. It may be a massive success. It may see every A-League fan out there go, shit, that worked really well. They made shitloads of money. And every A-League club gets a pie of that money. That's fantastic.
I think it's like 300k per year.
Yeah, which is, it's better than nothing.
It's not, hey, that's another Nani or something along those lines, or...
Absolutely.
Or 75% of a fine if your fans decide to enter the pitch and hit a goalkeeper with a bucket. But we won't talk about that, will we?
We won't go into that. So, as we said, guys... Yep.
Before we go ahead, I have to just mention Ben made a really, really good comment online in regards to Tassie. Obviously, they're building facilities for the Women's World Cup. Having a 15,000 stadium and having a even up to 5k would be massive, and I reckon that's something Tassie could do. I mean, look at it this way: they're already beating Western United's numbers with that.
Yeah. See, I think that's the biggest problem. I think some places just go too big, and they go, "Let's build a massive stadium," and they sort of go, "How are we going to fill it?" And they think the simple way: we'll bring concerts, we'll bring festivals, we'll bring this, we'll bring that, and that'll fill it. And then at the end, but then you want the standalone. You know what I mean? Like we want Adelaide United to play at Cooper Stadium solely. We don't want them to share it with fucking a rugby league team and a friggin' rugby union team or whatever. We want them to play here solely. It is their ground. And if we can get A-League matches, Australian matches and Matilda's matches and whatever to play here, happy days, because it's the same code. But, you don't really want the other codes drifting in.
Even the other events where we've seen in recent weeks how they've damaged the pitch.
Yeah.
There's having to be relays, and how much that's costing the grounds to upkeep and then try and get ready for game time. And I mean, the other week I think I saw one of the players try and take a shot at the ball and got half the ground off of their boot rather than the actual ball itself. So it has its pros and cons, and that's where, as you're saying, with Coopers, we are a unity in relation to what we have going on at that ground. Like we may have sometimes. I remember a couple of years ago when they tried that stupid AFLX, and they actually had it at Cooper's, and we had a game the week after. And honestly, I've never seen the pitch look that horrendous in my life. And even we had a chat with the groundskeeper afterwards, and he goes, "Mate, they've killed it. They've absolutely killed it." And that guy takes so much pride in his work and so much pride in that grass, and every day we go past it, it looks like carpet. So for him to even be in tears over how much they damaged it, it just shows that's why it's good to have those stadiums that are boutique. They don't need to be, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, or, the crazy 90,000 from a Sydney perspective. If it can get filled, and it's going to be a situation where, you look at Central Coast Mariners published out a thing today about how much is needed for them to break even. I think it was something like 8,000 attendance, and that's for them to break even, because at the moment they're looking at a $2 million loss, which is coming out of the CEO's pocket. So I know with Coopers, I think it's around the 10,000 mark for us to break even, and last week was the first time we didn't meet that. We were 2,000 short in, well, basically out of the 6 games we've played at home this season, I think we've hit that at least 4 times. So we're getting there, and I think that's got to do with the new stadium extension, which has obviously brought the crowd in as well.
Yeah. As I said, guys, we've got plenty to talk about. We will jump into, we'll talk to Robbie while we've got him here in regards to the 1-0 victory against MacArthur that seen, obviously, the departure of Dwight York afterwards, and obviously a crazy game. Crazy game. We'll also talk about the Newcastle Jets signing, get your guys' thoughts on that. Plenty of Jets fans in here, so I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. We'll talk a little bit about other signings as well around that we're possibly looking at. Western Sydney Wanderers, Manchester United connection there. Happy day. If he comes, if they get him, mate, I'd love to see him out here. Friggin', what's his name now? Friggin', I just had it in my head and now I forgot it. Oh, it's gone. But Lukey or somebody will find it for me. But he's a weapon. He's a freak. He's played everywhere. He's still playing. He's playing in France at the moment, I believe now still. So 32 years of age, still got it. I'd take him. I'd like to see him out here as well. What else we got there, mate? Friggin', as I said, we'll dissect in here a little bit about the Newcastle Jets supporters group demise at the moment. Not too sure what's going to happen there, how it's going to work. For all the Newcastle fans out there, I do believe that Matt Vandenberg, who's heavily involved with the Jet supporters and stuff like that, he as all you guys know, gets around to pretty much every game in the A-League that the Jets play, whether it be home, away, abroad, trips overseas and that in the Asians Cup and stuff like that. So pretty much our best supporter, let's be honest. Love him, hate him, he gets around to everything, but he's come out as well and had his say on it, that he's sort of had a gutful, and he will be at every game still, but he's just sort of going to take a back seat as well to sort of see what happens here. So, we'll touch more on that shortly. We'll talk about the fixtures this weekend. Newcastle Jets play Brisbane Roar Friday night, 7:45. There's a game tomorrow, Melbourne Victory versus somebody.
Sydney FC.
Sydney FC,
I think they're nicknaming that the El Shitico.
The El Shitico. That's fantastic. I like it. It's got a good ring to it. Very good. Creative. 6:45 kickoff, I believe, on that one. So that'll be played tomorrow. As I said, the Newcastle Jets will play Friday night. Saturday, triple header, I believe, off the top of my head. Wellington will play bloody Perth, I believe. MacArthur, Western United, and then Central Coast, Western Sydney. And then it will wrap up with Melbourne City at home to Adelaide United, 3 p.m. on this Sunday. So plenty to talk about. We'll get into that. As I said, we'll try and wrap it up within the hour. as Benny and I like to say every week, but it never happens. Someone comes in with a comment, and then we freaking dissect, and we go 5,000 miles off the topic we're at hand, and so be it. We'll start with the game that was, mate. Freaking last week, 1-0, Adelaide United. You got away with the bickies there somehow. Like I say that, I don't say that in like I think Adelaide pretty well dominated a shit game. Like it was just so all over the fucking show. It was chaos. But
I guess, yeah, the best way I could describe it was champagne footy on a beer budget.
Yeah, yeah, coming out with the classics, mate. That's another ripper. That's a good one. But again, I don't think he's deserved to lose. To lose a bloke 17 minutes into the match, deservedly to lose a bloke in the 17th minute. There was sort of sitting there going, oh, could that have been a yellow? Yeah, I don't think so. He's come in with everything there. It's a Taylor Reid special. And Taylor Reid would have been sitting there going, mate, what are you doing? What are you doing? You fucking always look like you always keep your eyes on the ball. You don't have to win the ball, but as long as your eyes are on the ball, it always looks pretty. You're always comfortable for a yellow. But yeah, so took everything but the friggin' well, he took the 3 points, I suppose. It's usually he took everything except for the 3 points, but he somehow got away with that. What were your thoughts, mate? What were your thoughts on it? Started well, 6 minutes in. Goal.
Yeah, 6 minutes in, Clough again. I was saying just before the stream, my mates over at the Night Shift podcast, one over here, they've been ripping into Clough, something chronic for the last couple of weeks, just saying he's not getting there, he's not doing the right things, he's not making the right leads, and then next thing you know, he pots one through. So after the game, I made sure to let him know, keep giving him some stick so he can score some more for us. Yeah, I think the craziest thing about this game in our season so far, we've had the highest scoring in the A-League within the first 15 minutes. So within the first 15 minutes, we have the highest scoring rate.
Yeah.
But we also have 5 red cards and 40 yellow cards to our name in 13 matches.
Yeah.
I think Simon Hill dropped a stat just after our 5th that in 80-something games, we have 20 red cards in the A-League, and over 178 games in the EPL, there's 18. So something's obviously going on with regards to our skill level or with regards to the league in total having a discipline issue.
Yep.
I know specifically with the Adelaide United club, it's got to do with discipline. I'm all for aggression. I'm all for challenging for the ball, but it's got to be done in the right way.
Yep.
We've got 2 and 4 at the moment.
Yep.
So next yellow, they're going to be out for a suspension, and we've already had 2 suspended for accumulation. So if that's not nipped in the bud now, we're going to be in for some serious trouble heading down the path. Given the fact we've also got 7 almost out for injury at the moment as well, it's really causing us some major headaches. In all fairness, though, he won man of the match, and our future Socceroo goalkeeper, Gauchi. That guy is just an absolute freak on and off the pitch. I mean, if you haven't seen his dancing, I would highly recommend checking out that clip. There's actually 2 clips, and if needed, I can send you a GIF of the first one because I made one specially for him.
Get everyone in chat. Get the violins out for the friggin' next goalkeeper of Australia right there. Friggin' surely Duncan or friggin' the ones who make the mistakes all the time friggin' are in line before him.
Nah. If you watch Gauchi, he has honestly exactly in the last 2 years. I mean, you look at it this way: we've got still Delianov sitting on the bench, being taken off of the first position from a 21-year-old at the moment. If that doesn't tell you something, then I don't know what will. He is,
he's a talent.
He has done. He's not going Kiwi, Luke. We're not even talking about that. He's Australian, all right? We're keeping it at that.
Yeah, he has the option. What have you got there,
apart
mate?
from that, the rest of the game, I mean,
The stats don't even
we
do it
still need.
justice, though. Like,
Sorry,
30,
no.
the stats don't even do it. 38% possession to MacArthur's 62. Like, I find that outrageous.
So this is what's been the issue for both the men and women's team this year. We go 1-0 up and we sit on it. And I don't understand what it is. We are honestly just sitting there going, yep, we're 1-0 up, we're going to win the game on this. And then we sit there with our pants down getting thumped, 2-1, 3-1, or walking away with the draw.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but at what stage as a coach do you sit there and go 1-0 is good enough for this game? 1-0 is only good enough if it's 90 plus fifth minute with 5 minutes of extra time.
Yeah.
That's the only time that I'm going to be comfortable 1-0. So, look, if it wasn't for the second yellow red card for Holman and the shocking shots from the pub club, I'm calling them now, we'd have drawn or lost that game. So, I'm happy to walk away with the win. Again, as I said, champagne fully on a beer budget. But Carl, Carl is all right, but I've already talked to him about this before because I used to deal with him a fair bit in the local league, and has a real tendency to lose his cool at the referee.
Yeah.
And sometimes I find that really masks a team's issues because rather than applying the situation of we were beaten by a better opponent this time, how do we get better the next?
Yeah.
It's the referee did this, the referee did that, and that doesn't do anything. All that does is cause further disdain, frustration, because then it's not in your hands, it's outside of your control, where it always is inside your control because you have the ability to get to that next level if you try hard enough.
Yeah. Yep.
And this has been my TED Talk.
Look, as I said, it was an interesting game. I don't think the stats overly, I thought it was a little bit biased to MacArthur there. But again, as you said, the Adelaide do like to sit on the lead. They like to sit back and it's like the old what do you call it? It's like Space Invaders. They just sort of get there, just get the boys back and just they don't give a shit. They'll hoof the ball out, and the calmness of the back line walking out. And they do. They just sort of in our own time, boys. In our own time. No rush here. I've hoofed it down to the keeper. He'll be right. Just slowly get out, take our breath. There's no real urgency that we're used to, or that I'm used to seeing out of Adelaide in past years. Will it come back to haunt you? At the end, you know what I mean? Again, it's all good having your Craig Goodwin. Let's be honest, he's a superstar. I've known that for donkey's years. When he sort of played it up with us, and so forth. When he was just a wee lad, he's such a talent. He's such a skillful bloke. But can he do it if the others don't help him out? You know what I mean? If he hasn't got that help. You've got Izzy still playing at Adelaide, ladies and gentlemen. Seriously. My God. A big ups to the bloke. He's an absolute superstar. And probably one of the biggest superstars in the A-League's history. He's played... I can't remember. I don't know how many games he's played now, but shit, it'd be a decent amount. And, he's just one of those lovable guys, but he's just doing silly things now. He's getting old. Freaking, he's getting beat.
I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him head into a potential centre back role, but even then, he doesn't really have the physicality to be able to compete in that role. So, it's our problem is we do have some aging players. I mean, our younger players are very young, especially like Irakundu, who's still 16, 17.
Yeah.
But then you have the complete opposite, or the polar opposite, which you got 36-year-olds like SES. You got Wanda, you got Javi Lopez. As good as they are.
Yep.
I think the biggest issue is if at the last year we hadn't been in grand final contention, they may not be here this year. But at the end of the day, having a look at how close we came to the prize last year, you'd be stupid to not re-sign everyone. You had a really good chemistry, you had everything connecting, you had everything flowing, and, it was that extra time to Melbourne City knocked us out last year. So, yeah, it would be a stupid mistake to not re-sign them all. But this time, it's come back to bite. So we'll see how we go. Halfway through the season, I'm not counting my chickens until the hatch. But on the
Well,
other hand, I'm also looking at it,
I suppose the biggest thing is you're
realistically.
looking at it from a fixtures a standings point of view. Melbourne Victory on 11 points, right? They're struggling. They're in big trouble. And it's a shame to see Popper so freaking lost. Just like I just feel that every time I watch Melbourne Victory play, and they pan to him on the sideline, he just looks so confused. Like, and almost to the point where I feel it's like they pan to him and his thoughts are like, did they not listen to a word I've said all week? Did I was I on mute? Do I need to speak to the staff and freaking check if the words coming out of my mouth sound clear? Like his eyes and he's just everything about him just looks stunned mullet. Like, what the fuck am I watching? I said press. You're fucking running away from the ball. What the hell he's doing? Like, take 5 steps forward. Turn left. What the fuck are you doing? Like, he just looks so confused. And honestly, for his sake, I hope it ends soon. That doesn't mean that Melbourne Victory have to end their dramas soon, but I hope, the worst case, he gets out and friggin' they look at him for another job, for God's sake. Because he doesn't deserve that shit. And if there's anything where you sit there and you go, like, everyone in the chat will agree, it's the coach's fault. If the team's playing shit, it's the coach's fault. Has to be. There's no way you can sit there and tell me that we're sitting here as a group, you as an Adelaide fan, as Melbourne Victory is your fucking worst enemy, you're sitting there possibly thinking that he's the issue. There's like, he can't possibly be the problem there. There has to be something else going on, whether it's in the playing department or above.
I have a feeling it's a mixture of things. So look, we've all heard about the Popovich curse, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing that's automatically tied into most people's notion on what the situation is. Secondly, he's had a shocking run of injuries as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, you've got Nani who's just gone down with an ACL, who was supposed to be their singing star.
Your other striker gone to Norway, Destanzo.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Daggers, he used to irritate the living daylights out of me because he'd always pull out of his ass this worldie against us to either level, win, or that last minute killer. And look, I love watching him play as long as it's not against us, because he was a phenomenal player. So the moment I heard he was heading off to Norway, I'm just like, well, there goes your biggest contention for actually winning a couple of games. So as a Squire's cartoon was published last week about Australian football, I'm the sicko in the window going, yes, right now at Melbourne Victory, watching it implode.
A big ups to him too, man. 4-year deal, like 4 years signing.
That's a huge signing.
That's not many Premier League friggin' superstars and shit get 4 year signings. So if the fact that the Norwegian side, and again, I know nothing about them. I've seen who he was going to and that, and been mean to sort of have a look and go, where the hell are they, and what's the history sort of like and shit like that. But to sign him on a 4 year deal, he's not cheap. He wouldn't have come cheap. He's definitely up there in the pockets of the A-League players.
I think they were saying something like a 700,000 signing fee.
Yeah, signing fee, and then I've seen below that frigging going, oh well, there's Melbourne Victory's fines covered. So
sorry, buddy, you're gonna have to take one for the team.
Yeah.
What? I don't have to play in a half-empty stadium and having our fans basically jumping onto the pitch and assaulting players. All right, if I have to,
you're gonna have to go to Norway for 4 years.
All right, guys, I'm really sorry about this, but I'm gonna have to take it because I need to do it for the team.
We've signed
a team player.
We've signed a buyback clause after 4 years. But for right now, just need you to go to Norway, all right? Poor bastard. He's probably over there sitting on the plane going, no! You bastards! It's Popper's fault. Why am I getting the blame?
You know what the best part is? They're probably saying, look, Duggars, you're the only one who can get us out of this mess. All right? All you got to do is sign this piece of paper. Okay, what's it going to do? You're now going over to Norway. Hang on, I thought I was just signing on for another contract so I can help score more goals. Sorry, buddy. That's not the plan today.
Norway? I haven't played them on FIFA. The fuck? They're not even in the game.
Are they in the rest of the world?
No, probably. Again, it's been a long time since I've sat down and actually played FIFA. To be fair. Anyway, moving on. As I said, the difference between 12th though and let's go 11th. 11th and 2nd is nothing. 14 points, 14 to 22 points. That's a couple of wins and a couple of points.
It's an exciting. It's gonna. I can guarantee you, we are all going to be crunching the numbers heading into the last 3 rounds because it's going to be. Well, this club can still make it up to here if they beat this club by this many goals, or there's going to be, if this club draws in this game and then this team win, then it's going to be an upset. And I can't wait for it because that's what we live for as fans. We don't have a relegation or promotion battle, so we might as well enjoy this.
Absolutely. Well, just in FIFA stat, Corner Flag Games has stated that Norway is in the game. In FIFA, there we go. So our own FIFA statman. There we go. He's all over it. Sitting on the lounge there with friggin' hand in mouth. What have we got there? So it's anyone's game. It's going to be an interesting one. I think Brisbane and Perth are definitely on the up at the moment. I think they're playing some decent football. Taggart unfortunately has helped. Perth, he looked really good the other night. So. Interesting to see what happens from that, but that's pretty much that at the moment. What have we got here? I did say that we had a couple more matches through that. Western United beat Sydney 1-0. Happy days. What's his name? Friggin' wouldn't have been happy with that. Bloody freaking fuck. Who was it?
Brisbane?
No. Hang on a minute. I will find out who the hell it was. It was the fucker that used to play for them, but now friggin' plays for Sydney FC. Far out. My thing's not even loading up because it's having a spaz.
Diamante?
No, he didn't play for Sydney FC.
No, but I was going to say, how good was that goal from Diamante?
Burgess.
Oh, he just, every time he chips it long, that's going in.
Yeah. Oh, mate, friggin', it's a worldie. It was an absolute worldie. Yeah. Friggin' diamonds are forever. There you go, Benny. There you go, Benny. Friggin' James Bond quote. No, I'm just for you. But yeah, absolute banger. He meant to do it. Every single thing of it. Like he praised himself. Like what a player. What a player. 39 years of age, still freaking getting around, and I just like to thank myself. Like
you consider him a tool if he didn't do it so often.
I know.
Like if it's almost like Ibra when he moved over to the LA Galaxy and took out a whole page advertisement in the LA Times saying "I'm here."
Yeah.
Half the people are like, "Who the hell are you? What NFL team do you play for?" Hey, can we talk about the most beautiful thing about this whole situation?
Oh yes.
It further cements the shitfest that is currently Corica's job.
Oh, mate.
All right, so we look at it this way. I watched the Sydney FC documentary because I had nothing better to do and I was still waiting for football to come back on. And even back then, like last season, the board's going, Corica's job's on the line. And then, hey, we're going to re-sign him for another two seasons. If he doesn't win this game against Melbourne Victory, he's got to be gone. Yeah, I mean, if he was a cat, his cat has 9 lives. This would be his last dying breath. Yeah,
you've got to think so. If they get beat by Victory, who are sitting rock bottom, absolutely fucking climbing shit uphill. With virtually no players at the moment. Talented players and stuff like that. They've got rid of pretty much everything. And with the players not listening to staff, has to be. because it's not Popper's fault. Please save Popper. There's gonna be friggin' signs up for that for sure. Popper's sitting there going, "You could have fucking. Why wasn't I? You could have hit me with the fucking bucket. I could have had a couple of weeks off. Fucking seriously." This is bullshit. I got to still come to work every day and put up with this crap. Unbelievable.
All I'm hoping for is that Corica does beat Melbourne Victory. He goes on another losing slide until he comes against Adelaide United next, and then gets the sack. Then at least then we can call Carl the Coach Killer times 2.
Coach Killer times 2. I'm hoping he lasts another stint for Sydney FC 2 on Paramount Plus. Just so we can see, he was close to going this time, but we're stuck with him.
Yep. I just want to see the board discussion after.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, isn't it like the Australian knockoff of Sunderland Until We Die?
Yes. I believe someone said that to me.
As soon as that show came on, they got relegated twice. And I'm like, if I knew there was a relegation right now, Sydney FC would be right there, buddy.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be interesting.
Hang on. Ooh. Matt Taylor, that's an interesting option. Yeah, Alex Brosk to be the next Sydney FC coach.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting one.
I wonder how that would go, because he has commitments with Channel 10 now, doesn't he, as a commentator and coucher?
He's on Paramount and all that sort of crap. Yeah, he's on the couch and he's down in Melbourne.
I don't think he doesn't have an A license though, does he?
I don't believe he does. No, I don't believe so. Doesn't mean he can't get one in between now and the off season. Next season, they just punch that through like a quick passport. Should be right.
They'd sign a coach up for $330,000 from mysterious funds that have just been received.
And well, all I can think of is friggin' bloody poor old friggin' Poppers in Melbourne Victory. Just sitting there, Dwight York leaves for friggin' bloody calling his team a pub team. Pub team? Paul McCarthy a pub team? Is that all it takes? I'll fucking go to the board tomorrow.
Pop was like, shit, why didn't I think of that?
Someone get me the fucking microphone. I'll roll it out now. Where's Twitter? Babe, set up Twitter.
I'm sorry about the last tweet. It came out of accident. I was in a bad place. Please don't sack me. Sack me.
I've done whatever I could to get me boys out of the fucking pub league team. Freaking ship them off everywhere elsewhere. Talk about leaving your father behind, far out, do everything for them. They've left me here in this shit. So Melbourne Victory, Sydney FC tomorrow, 6:45, possibly Corica's last game. We'll see.
El Shitico, the hashtag El Shitico, okay?
Maybe
we're going to get it trending.
Maybe Popper's last game. Maybe if he gets beat by Sydney in their poor run, he goes, "That's it, fucking pub."
Or
team.
even better,
everyone to the pub.
Even better, it's a draw. And both get knocked out.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Could you imagine that? That'd be funny as. Friday night, as we mentioned, Newcastle Jets, Brisbane Roar, 7:45 p.m. Absolute tough game for us. I can't see this going smoothly. Absolutely smoothly for us. We struggle as it is against Brisbane at our home ground. We're great up there. No problem up there. Our record's fantastic. But down here, it's absolute dog shit. So it'll be a tough one. I'll be there on Friday night. So anyone in the chat that's getting along to that one, feel free. Pop in, come say good day, get a photo, have a beer, whatever. That would be great. What have we got? Saturday, Wellington versus Perth, as we said. Macarthur versus United, Central Coast, Western Sydney, as we've mentioned before. A couple of good games in there. And then obviously Melbourne City, Adelaide to round out the round. What are your thoughts on that one, mate?
Well, let's put it this way. Brisbane drew level with Melbourne City last week, and that was a solid game to watch. What it does is really gives the rest of the league an opportunity to sort of catch up with Melbourne City. But unfortunately, I don't think we're going to help that along this week. I don't think Melbourne City played the best last week. They're going to get their asses kicked on the training pitch this week, and it's going to run on us. And look, as much as you said, yeah, you guys have got a good win-loss ratio up there. Brisbane are really playing a solid football game this at the moment. They've got some really promising starters, and especially off the bench. I mean, when Charlie Austin left, I was like, "Yep, this is our season done. We're gonna chug away back down to the bottom of the table where they belong."
Everyone off to the pub.
But all I can say, he's an absolute whore of a player. Is absolutely solid. He every time he comes on, and anytime he's in the box, you watch him. He is so calm and collective. He's just waiting for that opportunity to have a nutmeg, chip it over, pass to the side, and he just sets up so many different goals. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, I will say this though: you guys played a fairly solid game last week. All right, and what I made some notes on was the one thing I've found so far with Newcastle Jets is there were some issues with some silly turnovers in the final third, but you're starting to really get into that situation of getting that click. You've got that composure with the team. You've got that really good. It feels more gelled. So I really think that you're only that couple of games away from really clicking as a unit and being able to really sort of really take it to the top 6 teams. So the only thing you need to make sure of is that if there are a potential for a penalty, you don't drop to a knee and let the defender basically take out an attacking player as he's running through. That's a guaranteed penalty every day of the week. So
absolutely.
And can I just confirm, did Ferreira kick a cat crossing him, walking across the street while under a ladder breaking a mirror? Because honestly, the amount of shots that guy had at goal that should have gone in, he's got to be the most unluckiest bastard I think I've ever watched play.
Yeah. I don't know. Figure the Jets it was so hard to watch last week. Just the pass, it's the front third, and it's always been an issue with the Jets. It's always an issue. We've never really found that number 9 and so forth in the last, I'd say, 6 to 8 years. Taggart was great. Don't get me wrong, Taggart was great, and he's probably the best we've had for a while. Joey Champness and so forth produced some talent and that down the line, but we've never really had that, dominant striker other than O'Donovan, I reckon. O'Donovan was that striker, but we needed O'Donovan 10 years ago. If we got him 10 years ago when he was still in his mid to late 20s, and a lot fitter and not as old as he was when he came to us, absolute talent, and I love him, and I backed him. Even when he pissed off to Brisbane and shit, I'm going, I can't believe he's got rid of him, and then they go crawling back to him to get him to come back. I was like, mate, I hope it's been turned around and he's your bitch. The club's O'Donovan's bitch, because, mate, I couldn't believe they let him go and then he come back. I was just like, fuck me. But yeah, hopefully things turn around. Hopefully we can score some goals. Taggart, I just love the fact that Taggart freaking Thurgate scores a header. Great goal. Long time coming. And then 2 days after he's done that, Thurgate's freaking contract's up at the end of the year. Figure the Newcastle Jets will be struggling to retain him. I'm like, really? He scores 1 goal in God knows how long, and now because his contract's up, he's leaving. Obviously, scored a goal. He goes, "Yeah, that'll do me, lads. That'll get me in the market." So, what have we got in here? It's sloppy turnovers, trying to move too quick. A couple of games turn into weeks, then months to years. Yeah, I was looking here. Sieto coming in as a technical dribbler as well. Yeah, look, we'll quickly touch on that. A signing for the Newcastle Jets. I don't know what you're like with friggin' signings, Robbie, but I've given up all hope with friggin' international signings these days. The Jets just seem to get the crop of the shit, and everything that comes in just looks great on paper and then just either turns to absolute dog shit or they get injured And, we don't see the potential. This bloke's come in, he's 32, which is unbelievable, the fact that we've got a 32-year-old coming in when our coach stated that he wanted to run with youth and so forth, but yet here we are, getting rid of a fullback, bringing in a winger, and so forth. I just thought it was a bit crazy, to be honest. I was like, why are we getting this old bloke in? Hasn't kicked the ball in almost 6 months. Trying to bring a bloke in that hasn't really kicked the ball in 6 months, and then you bring him in halfway through an A-League season, which is, let's be honest, a dog's breakfast of a season. As we mentioned before, just how close every team is, and one win could put you to third, 2 losses put you to last place. You know what I mean? So, I don't know what... Chat, let me know what your thoughts are on the signing. As we said, he's come from Yokohama. His youth career, he's moved around a bit. Kawasaki from Tale, Nagoya Grampus, Suwon Samsung Blue Wings, and then obviously to us. Don't get me wrong, he's played at friggin' the top teams in the J League. Like, he hasn't played at the minnows. He's played at the top tiers. But at the same time, it's, for me, he's obviously not going to be scoring his goals. I hope his assist ratio is very good, because that's where I'm guessing his, where he excels at. I'm setting them up more than he does score them. But time will tell. He 3 seasons as an international. He retired in 2016 as an international player after playing 6 games. Crazy. Give me 1 sec.
Look, play devil's advocate for a second. So we had, obviously, Hiroshi Ibasuki signed for us last year. When he first came in, everyone was like, what's he done? Oh, it's just going to be another dud, something like along those lines. Within the first couple of games of him signing with us, he'd scored a couple already. And sometimes it's the guys that you're not sure of. You're already throwing. You're throwing shade down as to their abilities or their capabilities, and sometimes you just got to give them a chance to prove themselves. I think the moment you start putting, yeah, exactly right. Like we do expect too much from overseas players. I mean, you look at Nani, everyone's expecting them to come out and absolutely destroy the league. And how many times have we heard of players coming in here and they're like, oh, they're going to destroy the league, and next thing you know, they do a Charlie Austin, and 6 weeks later they're going, sorry, Mrs. needs me back over in the UK. Yeah. Look, all I can suggest is you are right. We've been burnt multiple times from overseas players. So I think if we lower our expectations to the minimum as possible, they're going to surprise us every time. We're actually going to be happy. I mean, my overseas disappointment was Baba Diawara.
Yeah.
Any time he was on the pitch, he was scoring bangers.
Yeah.
But the problem was he was on the pitch maybe 3 or 4 games in the space of 4 years because he was constantly injured. So, yeah, look, I think, give him the opportunity. As you said, he hasn't played for shit clubs over in the J League either. He's played for some absolute solid games. Now, he's Yokohama, wasn't he?
That's where he started. So he started his youth there. Started 200 games at Yokohama, where I think he picked up 2 J League titles, and then he picked up another one at Kawasaki in 2019. Give or take. And then, he went to Nagoya Grampus after that, and Suwon, which I believe he would have played with Taggart. Not Taggart,
The thing that scratches my head a fair bit is like, look, when it comes to signings, you guys should be happy. We don't even have the money to get new signings, even though we do still have an international spot available. So don't even get me started on that. But in saying that, why aren't clubs looking more towards a League 2 or a League 3 in the Bundesliga, or even the Liga? There's these signings we seem to be getting at the moment are coming from 34, 35-year-old players who, to be quite frank, are coming over here for either a holiday or, putting out the pasture and seeing what money they can collect before the end.
That's right.
Get players that get players that can come through who are wanting a start in the squad, who are wanting to push to that next level, who are going to come out every match going, "This is my opportunity to show back home that they should be starting me."
Yeah.
You're guaranteed to get players who are chomping at the bits to actually do something right, then rather than go, "Yeah, I can come on for 20 minutes at the end of the game and maybe score a couple of goals, and I'm not really bothered if I do or don't because I'm still getting paid, marquee wages."
Yeah. Yeah. So, Chetty, absolutely. Pick him up from Stockton if we want overseas players. Just across the friggin' dinosaur bridge, and we'll find him over there, I reckon, for the international spots. But yeah, I don't know. It's time will tell. As we've mentioned in this little section here that the disappointment's been a lot more than fantastic. We've definitely had some good international players. Bridgie was fantastic for us. Wayne Brown was pretty good when he was fit and getting around. And I'm sure there's plenty more there without me sort of thinking off the top of my head and going further down the pipeline, because it has been that sort of long. It hasn't sort of been in the last couple of years where we've had massive international success in the transfer market. But at the same time, there's been more flops in the A-League, I feel, than there's been success. And then you've got success, I feel, as well, in international players that didn't get the recognition that they probably should have because they didn't score goals. Toivonen was dominant. He was so dominant when he came out here. 40-something games, 30-odd goals. He was a beast. But then you get your sort of blokes in the back line and stuff like that who don't really get the credit, but they were solid as hell. O'Shea, for me, doesn't get enough credit at Brisbane. He's a rock. He's such a talented player, and does more for that side than what the average person sees. They just see him and they go, "He didn't score any goals. He didn't set anything up." And I'm like, "Yeah, but he stopped six. He stopped the other side from scoring 6 goals. Can you not see him? Friggin' check his kilometres. Like he moves friggin' up and back. That's all he does. He was what the Newcastle Jets had with Stevie Uji. Just a freak. And Adelaide I'm sure they've had plenty as well. You can sort of sit back and go, yeah, he didn't get nowhere near enough credit as what he probably should have got. But when you wanted that bloke in the midfield or whatever, going back and forth, doing all the work, the leg work, he was a rock. He was solid as hell. So time will tell. Time will tell. The biggest thing is, how fit he is. I think that's the biggest thing for me. He's 32, so he's not 20-odd, where, I suppose if you haven't played for 6 months, a couple of weeks, you come in and you're fresh as a daisy. 32, J-League moves a little bit slower for me. They're very technical and very skillful. But I think the game and the heat will be a big factor as well. 30-odd degrees today, 35 or something tomorrow. They get snowy.
Wasn't one of the coaches complaining about that the other week, saying that that's the reason why they're playing? Oh, Marco Rodano.
Oh,
he was complaining that the reason why they're playing shit football is because of the heat. Yeah. Okay, Mark. That's the reason. That's the only reason.
Yeah. Friggin' Kiddo. What about Kiddo? Kiddo is Australian.
Would be for our
bloke who doesn't sort of get the credit that he needs. And
no, and look, it's actually funny. He's one of those players for our club that you 50-50 divided. Either you absolutely love him or you hate his guts, and I just don't understand it. I think what he does in his role, he's definitely improved something considerable in the last couple of seasons. So I got nothing but love for the guy. He puts in a hard shift every game, and he's been there rock solid for us in the back line, and probably one of the only ones we can really call upon week in, week out.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw it pop up a few times in the chat.
Yes.
So do we want to have a bit of a laugh at some active drama?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. Chad, you're never getting Craig Goodwin back, mate. He's our boy. He will be forever our boy. He is Adelaide born and bred. And I can confirm this because I sat there and chatted with Tony Goodwin, watching the game against Brisbane after he got back, having a few frothies. So you got Buckley's, mate. Buckley's. He was given offers over in New South Wales and he turned them down because he's Adelaide born and bred.
There we go.
Anyway, okay. I digress. So, OSM. This would have been yesterday or the day prior, because of obviously the fact that they're unable to attend in their normal active support base.
Yep.
Suggested buying tickets in Bay 33 to start, and then Bays 34, 35, and so on if necessary. So this was posted yesterday on the OSM chat. Later on, there was an email sent out to Melbourne Victory Ticketing. Dear ticket holder, as a result of the sanctions handed down, new ticketing arrangements have been made for the Melbourne Victory game on Thursday, 26th of January. The tickets you have purchased will be reissued as per the FA sanctions, and you will receive your new tickets shortly. So basically what they've done is Bays 34, 35, 33 have now been removed and reallocated in other areas. Then tonight they posted this. The stakes have never been higher. Act accordingly and do not give in to provocations or whatever the hell. Anyway, now ultimately it comes as no surprise that every other fan group in the league has collectively buckled to the demands of the APL. Make no mistake, despite the incident at the Derby, the idea that the rest of the league couldn't commit to a fully united boycott to force a change is complete bullshit. With the reality we are now in, there is no point boycotting further matches alone. That will not have no influence on the decision. The only chance that remains to change this is the boycott of all final matches, which they're doing perfectly right now. They are doing such a great job at boycotting all finals matches.
Yep.
What was it? And that will have no influence on this decision. So boycott of all final matches where the absolute idiocracy of this will be put on full display. And don't forget, fuck Sydney and its mentality of weakness that is spread across the league. So, let's put it this way. Fun fact, if you're going to make sure that we are united, don't jump onto the pitch and act like absolute twats in front of a national and international audience.
Yep.
That's normally a good start, folks.
Yep.
Second of all, the demands that were requested were confirmed by the rest of the committee and by the United Supporters Group as to the terms of reference, which we broadcast out there for everyone. They have definitely thrown their toys out of the pram. Mm-hmm. They are upset that they're no longer relevant, no longer wanted, and greatly no longer desired. Yep. At the end of the day, the OSM are was-beens, has-beens, and never should-have-beens. So, at the end of the day, they have no one else to blame but themselves. Yep. They've stuck the stick into the front tire of their bike and started screaming out on the bottom of the meme, "It's everyone else's fault."
Yeah,
no one else to blame but themselves.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, Benny, get the violins out for the victory supporters. It's I don't know. It's just craziness, chaos. In regards to fan bases and supporter groups and shit like that. It's, mate, he's fucked up. Own it and fucking just accept the punishment that's been handed down and you move on. Yeah, at the end of the day, hopefully they learn from it and, it's not what happened, what is not needed in football, period. That's pretty much all I've got to say on the OSM. To be honest, they're just hooligans and shit like that. There's nothing wrong with having hooligans at a football match. I think it makes for entertainment and a good spectacle. If they're not around families and so forth, if they've got their own sort of little spot and everything else, and the families are well away from it, so the young kids and everything else aren't sort of getting involved in it and shit like that. No worries, as they do in the Premier League. Put them in a pen, put them in whatever, stand in bays, whatever, and that's it. You know what I mean? If you want to go sit next to them, you do so at your own risk. They're a supporter group. they're there, they can have their say in whatever it is, they can do what they sort of want within reason, without racial and any like that shit going on. But you do it within the means of the game and whatever. They didn't do that, so deal with your punishment. Other than that, we are going to friggin' wrap up the show. We will wrap up the show in regards to Terrace Nova Castria. Newcastle Jets supporter group. I don't know. Again, these are my opinions, and you can slander me for it, and whatever. You know what I mean? Like, as I said, there's plenty of people in this chat who are Newcastle Jets fans. Plenty of people who know me have been part of the squadron, the NCL, and so forth since day dot, and since their foundations in 2013 for the NCL and squadron, etc. Sort of the NCL died, and I moved on, like a lot of us have. You know, we're in our 30s, who were sort of in that group. Most of us have kids and married, plenty of other shit going on than to worry about wasting time sitting in a bay that is just dead. I'll read what some may or may not have seen or heard or whatever from Terrace Nova Castria. It states, Terrace Nova Castria was founded in 2019 to reinstate an active supporter culture. Now, for me, I find that sort of, again, just what was wrong with our culture. Because we sat there and we got on the piss and we friggin' bounced up and down and we swore or whatever. So I think the culture there, was the wrong word. Again, in my opinion. I just think Terrace Nova Castria was founded in 2019 to reinstate an active supporter group. Would have been fine. At the Newcastle Jets, our intention was to create an inclusive place for football fans to come. I'm just going to try and... Give me a sec. Just going to try and rotate my phone so I can read the whole freaking thing, if the thing will allow me to do so. There we go. Beautiful. Our intention was to create an inclusive place for football fans to come together and become a part of the match through an engaging visual and vocal presence, particularly in New South Wales. We wanted to see people return to stadiums and participate in these experiences, creating memories and enriching their weekends in a unique atmosphere together as a group. While the movement belongs to all Novocastrians, it is not our intention for this welcoming space at matches to be interpreted as a leisurely, inadvertent, careless, lethargic, unrecognised, or a pathetic place. For group leadership to allow any of those ideas to continually manifest would be to set a poor example and stain fabric of active supporter culture. Our group takes responsibility for half of the success and failure of the Newcastle Jets, with the other end upheld by players and staff. We do our job and they do theirs. Despite our best efforts, we are not doing our job consistently enough to be considered successful. Our passion, commitment and togetherness as a group must not be dependent on whether results or personal motivation. Unfortunately, this is not being lastly installed broadly enough across the time in which we've attempted to do so. This phone, I should have just read off the freaking computer. Sorry, guys. As a result of our current circumstances, Terrace Nova Castria leadership have declared our active support duties at Newcastle Jets matches will be on hiatus until further notice, following the conclusion of our home game against Brisbane this Friday night. We again encourage everyone to join us in Bay 2 for this match as we look to display the best active support our city can deliver. This game may provide key insights into how well develop our operations in future. We apologise to the club and supporters that we have not been able to function more effectively. Our group will continue to aim for positive impact on sport, fashion, music, and lifestyle in Newcastle. We sincerely hope to return to our full capacity as an active support group before the end of the season. Until then, we'll continue dialogue with both the Newcastle Jets and APL, while our social media channels will remain operational. See you Friday, forever, Terrace Nova Castria. Should have read that on the PC. Apologies, guys. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Everyone's got their own opinion in regards to active support. Yes, it has been absolute dog shit. There has been no support, other than a group of pretty much the leadership group, which, everybody knows who they are, have been a part of that sort of, week in, week out, trying to get to most of the games in New South Wales, which they stated in that, which they've sort of done, that 15 odd people. But other than that, it's been dead. But it's been dead for years. We've never had the active support. I feel that the grand final that we played in 2018 did not have the active support that we needed. It was just a shitload of Nova Castrians who miraculously friggin' realised that there was a club in Newcastle that played soccer, and two, we got to host a grand final, luckily, therefore not having to travel interstate or anything like that to go watch the game, therefore having to scrounge and try and find a ticket, but not worrying about spending money in putting money into the club with a membership. So, what have we got here? I'm just going to quickly go into these chats before I go any further. For your information, we're not taking it over. Yeah, I've had a few comments saying apparently I'm taking it over. No. There's no active support Friday night. Of course, the game's on after Big Dog. Oh, chatty. Old man Josh is struggling with technology. Absolutely, Benny. 7:30 p.m. Good night, girls and boys. Sweet dreams. Terrace Nova Castria deleted /archived all their old posts. He doesn't have his IT technology partner. Yeah, that's exactly right, Aiden. Don't have my IT. Where are your glasses from Gabriel? Yeah, thanks, Benny. Should have put them on. Got on your champion. What do we got? Leadership group that is based in Newey. That isn't based in Newey, just like me. Yeah, look, at the end of the day, guys, they've done what they feel they've needed to do. I know they've had apparently a massive riff in there with some of the leadership group. It is what it is. Robbie's here. He's part of the friggin' Red Army. I'm sure he'll tell you over the years that there's been rifts in the group. Somewhat doesn't necessarily mean that it's massive arguments and friggin' a massive disagreement with an individual or individuals. But yep.
I'll put it out there as a devil's advocate. Like, don't get me wrong, there is some wording in that statement. I probably, if it was coming across from a Red Army point of view, I probably wouldn't say. Some stuff you're just better off keeping in house, especially if there is internal rifts that are causing the issues.
Yep.
And if you're trying to reinvigorate by having a hiatus, it's not an environment people want to come back into. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's good to be honest, but there's a time and a place, and it's probably not the time or the place to air that laundry. In saying this, though, to the Novatarians, we obviously dealt with them throughout this shitfest that is the APL drama.
Yep.
I can honestly speak from personal experience. It was one of the toughest times I've ever had on the committee. I was working full time. I was coming home at 3:30, finishing at 3:50. I was getting home, answering emails, messaging members, getting in contact with clubs. Obviously, jumped on your podcast one night. It was a full-time job in itself. I wasn't getting to bed until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and getting up next morning for work again. The problem that the Novas are going to have with us, that we did as well, is it's about getting that new generation in. Okay, a lot of the times, and I'm not saying this is the case for either or all of us, but if we're singled out as a selective group, right? So say, for instance, for years, Red Army had the 2 banners on either sides that made it them and us. Right? Now, in order for you to get into us, you had to have a specific active support ticket. Okay,
Yeah.
that was obviously a way for the clubs to be able to turn around and go, if shit happens in that bay, we know exactly who to look for because they've got a ticket number, they've got a seat allocation, and we know it's going to be one of them.
Yep.
As you've seen in the last couple of weeks, this year,
Yeah.
they removed those. We no longer have those banners.
Yeah, right.
Now, because of that, we've had more people flock in
Yeah.
to the Red Army Bay,
Yep.
and we've also had more members signing up for us.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Sometimes to reinvigorate, you need to get in contact with the club and just say, "Hey, look, we need you to open up the bay or open up the selectiveness."
Yep.
We've obviously had to prove ourselves to the club and say, "Hey, look, we're fully incorporated. We have an AGM every year.
Yep.
We have financials that we provide at those AGMs. We are a fully incorporated, non-for-profit, organisation.
Yep.
Right. So we're not just sitting there going, "Yeah, we're going to throw a few flares or, just smash the drums for 90 minutes." We have a full thing behind that.
Yep.
With the Novocastrians, look, I really do hope they come back. I think maybe having something like a 6 weeks hiatus and letting everyone else see, holy shit, this is really quiet without them, might be an opportunity to go a few members going, hey, you know what, I'm sick of this. We want some noise. Maybe it's time we put our money where our mouth is and head over there and start doing it themselves. That may work. I'm hoping so. But at the other hand as well, it's really hard to drive enthusiasm from the fence sitter or the casual when your team's being beaten every week as well. So look, about that, you got to take the good with the bad.
I think the biggest thing is in regards to the Jets, it's always been a struggle for a long time. It's been a struggle, right? When Laurie was there, life was easy. NCL had it easy. There's no question about that. In regards to we ask, we either get, or we get an answer of why we can't have, but it's straight away. It was instant. Yep. The boys now don't have that option. They don't get that option with Shane and the staff and that we've got in the current situation with the club. We don't have that. The boys don't have that option, so I feel them there. I really do. But there is no full timers in there. There's apparently, again, I know nothing about the whole thing because I wiped my hands with it years ago. But apparently the two guys running the show are like DJs or something along those lines. Good on them. Happy days. Friggin', do what you need to do. But doesn't matter what you do, being a DJ. But apparently they've been they promote some of their shit in the group, which not what you should be doing. But anyway, again, that's only what I've heard. That it could be completely wrong. Because to be honest, I haven't seen any of that, and to be honest, I don't see many posts from Terrace Novocastro, period. Which I find bizarre.
So yeah, we are, but we came that way because we were concerned of having the exact same issue that most other active supports are facing at the moment.
You have to be.
Which is obviously being taken out by the club, or being told, hey, you now become a part of us. For us to be taken seriously, we took those steps and made sure legally we were controlled. With the Novocastrians, maybe if they were to write a term of reference, maybe if they were to get some guidelines down, that might help them in the long run. But as you said yourself, there were a lot of people that spend so long in the active support, they start getting a new life, they start getting exhausted from the whole experience, and then go, you know what? Look, I'm done. I've had enough.
But I think the biggest problem with Terrace Novocastria is the guys I feel that have run the show, they're enjoying life. Like you know what I mean? They are enjoying life. They love getting around together with their mates and stuff like that, getting on the beers or whatever it is, hitting the drums, so forth, which is great. And they're the people you see every week in that bay. And they're there every week, and they're friggin' hitting the drum, and they're singing their songs, and they're on the megaphone, no problems at all. But they're not doing enough, and this is where it becomes, as you said, a full-time gig. They're not doing enough to get everybody in there. They're not doing enough to interact with the fans outside of the active support. I've said this on many occasions. I'll say it again. I have no issues lending a hand in any way that I can. Again, I know a lot of people. I know a lot of people inside other clubs' active supports. I said I've been there since day one, and I know what's worked and what hasn't, just like a lot of people have, who would, I'm sure, be open and happy to help on a part-time basis to the full-timer that the supporter group needs. Putting ideas through to them and stuff like that. I've given Benny some ideas into Western United and what they should be doing and stuff like that in regards to their new stadium being built. You know what I mean? Like, it's a thought, it's an option. Take it or don't. It doesn't faze me whatsoever. But at the end of the day, the one thing I want to do is be able to go to a game and to be able to see my active support, my club's active support bouncing. Love and life, 90 minutes, and and the bay full. To the boys' credits, as I said, the ones that have been there, the 15 to 30 odd that are there every week, they don't stop. They go for 90 minutes, and freaking kudos to them. That's fantastic. But as you said, they need to find out they need to work out a way to get everybody in there. They need to get more bodies in there.
You and I both know we've been around football long enough, but the biggest thing to kill a club, a player, or any form of career is ego. And sometimes, as hard as it is, we just sometimes need to check it out the door. So for anyone who wants to get involved, remember, sometimes it's a business. As much as we don't want to say it is a form of a business, because we are financially making sure that we look after the supportive, active support and the fans. And sometimes we're going to have a disagreement in regards to a decision being made. Hell,
Absolutely.
I've had many a times where I've disagreed with some things that have been stated or suggested. Luckily, in my full-time work in the that I get actually paid for, I deal with that on a daily basis. So I know how to negotiate. I know how to deal with those critical and those controversial conversations. But it's in a situation where, we've got to remember these guys are probably, 21, 22, potentially fresh out of high school. So, at the end of the day, it is going to be a scary thing having to, come up to Josh with his huge ego, as Chad has suggested, and ask for the assistance.
Thanks, Chatty.
But no, I would highly recommend, if the guys are watching, look, we applaud your effort. Even as a competing active support group, we love having any active support around Australia coming into the game and creating that atmosphere. That's what makes our game so different to every other game around the world. So we hope that obviously you can take this break, have a breather, not having to worry about this crap. I mean, obviously, this year has been the shittest time to be in an active support group as a leader since 2015. So it is huge. It is absolutely huge. So I'm really hoping that they can have a breather, recharge the batteries, and go, right, let's do this right. And hey, you guys have got us on the active support, United support group chat. Let's go for it, mate. If you want to help, want to know how we've done stuff, let's communicate. Because at the end of the day, if we're all united as active support group against the APL and this shit decision, we're united together to make sure each other survive.
And I think that's the biggest issue. This is not 2010. I don't think that far. 2010 to 2005 to 2010. Even maybe 2013, 15, where it was chaos. Yes, we went to the games. We would organise fights with the other friggin' active support. It was chaos. It was full on. The friggin' security was nuts. We'd friggin' get into fights and shit all the time. The times have changed. The times for that have changed. The league has progressed a lot bigger and better than what it was back then. From imports coming in to the association, the Australian football as a whole has changed massively. So the time is now to be getting all the supporter groups as one. As Robbie said, wherever help may be needed, if you need a leg up or how did you do this? A-League supporter groups should be able to come to each other like that. Without sort of listening to 4 or 5 friggin' bloody die-hard, hardcore friggin' supporters in the background going, why the fuck are you going to them for? Fuck that. We need to do it ourselves and not. Fuck that.
I'll be completely honest with you. There are times where I sit on our Red Army forum and I watch the conversations being had. And
Chatty.
there's one of my favorite sayings of all time is, everyone is entitled to a moment of stupidity, but I feel sometimes people take the piss. And if anything, there are times where I'm sitting there going, you guys have no idea what's going on. Yeah. It's about that full picture rather than just your narrow point of view. Yeah. And I'm not saying that in a harsh way, but that's all you know. That's all you've seen. That's all you've read in the papers. So when it comes to active support, if we will only read and see what we've seen on the news is we're a disorganised bunch of hooligans who just want to get pissed up, throw a few flares onto the pitch and hit a goalkeeper in the head with a metal bucket.
That's right.
All right. There's a lot more that goes on in the background. My committee are communicating on a daily basis through a messenger chat. We'll meet up every now and then to make sure that if we've got a TIFO or a banner idea that needs to be made, that we can get it done. The Goodwin TIFO, and I have to say I was really happy with how that turned out. That took 7 of our members or our committee members almost 4 or 5 days to paint completely. Yeah. And 2 of those days were 38, 37 degree days, and we're painting out on a driveway. Yeah. So there's a lot of shit that goes on in the background that most people don't see, and we don't expect everyone to know what's going on.
Yeah, but you don't want everyone. You don't want everyone to know.
No, but that's where if we can at least go, hey guys, this is what we've had to go through, this is what we're dealing with. You can go, oh shit, maybe this isn't so unique. Maybe this is something that we're all dealing with, and we can all work together to sort of, work through it or brainstorm. So as I said, I don't mind them having the hiatus. I think it's possibly a good thing to recharge the battery sometimes to know where your limits stand, because if you don't, then that's where further damage can be done. That's irreparable.
Look,
but
at the end of the day, it can't get any worse. As I said, having this 6, and I mean that in the nicest way, not the fact that they're getting fuck all numbers and we're not going to notice 15 blokes missing without a drum and shit. It's, you know what I mean? Like, it's hopefully the hiatus or whatever you want to call it, either they work it out between themselves, or they all work it out as a group that it's just not going to work, and they need to sort it out. They need to find somebody or a group of people that want to take it on and have the right ideas, and the time is the biggest one. Capital letters. You need the time. If you don't have the time to put into it 100%, don't put your hand up for it, because it isn't 100% committed full-time job, period. But yeah, other than that, I'm here. If anyone knows the boys and shit like that in there, other than your Vandies and stuff like that, like I think Hayden, is one of the boys there who runs it. I've never met that bloke before in my life, but and whatever, I'm here to help if they need it for whatever it may be. As I said, from ideas, whatever. I don't give a shit. At the end of the day, I just want the Jets to succeed. The Jets don't succeed without the fans. The fans don't succeed without there being a club, period. And that's pretty much the way it needs to be run. And hopefully, fingers crossed, the new owners will come in eventually once they've found the right owners, as the owners currently, the interim owners have stated. They're not just going to give it up willy-nilly. They want the new owners to come in and be the right owners, the ones who are going to take it forward long term, not just 3 years, piss it up the wall and be done with it. So whenever that happens, sweet as, and then hopefully from there we can build on that and move forward bigger, better, as a unit, as a whole club, not just a supporter base, but as a club. Because at the end of the day, we're getting 7,000 people max to a game, not good enough. If we can fill a stadium for a grand final, we should be getting pretty much close to that. No issues. Every day, every week. more people that come, the more pressure you put in on the players to perform. Therefore, I think you see better results. You know, if there's 15,000 people at Cooper Stadium, watching the Reds play 1 week, and they turn it on, and then they go play friggin' Macarthur or something like that the following week in Macarthur with 3,000 fans, the quality and the gel and everything else is not the same. And the result might be the same, but the quality and everything else won't be. It won't be because there's no pressure.
Unfortunately, I can confirm that is not the case.
Ooh.
It seems to be any time we're playing away, we're playing even worse. So that's why we're sort of hoping that we get as many home games as we can to sort of get those wins on the board. I fully agree.
You know what I mean, but you know what I mean. It's not obviously you play worse, obviously, but at the same time, you know that there's no reason for them to be, you know, under so much pressure because they're playing away. They're lucky to have a handful of friggin' support there if you're in Sydney or Perth or New Zealand or something like that. It's where if they're at home, you're on notice. Every Reds fan's watching, and it's got to perform, got to put in that extra 50 metres, put in that extra slide tackle, friggin', go take that extra 3 steps or whatever it is to try and get my head onto the end of the ball, whatever. But yeah, so at the end of the day, we are going to wrap it up there. If anyone, as I said, if anyone knows them or whatever it is and they want to get in touch with me for anything, to have a chat or whatever, if you don't, that's fine. I don't care. You know what I mean? It's no sweat off my nose if you just want to run it yourself and do it yourself without my input, being a 34-year-old bloke who, has a massive ego apparently. Feel free to leave me be. I've got plenty of shit to do on the side, so whatever. Chatty, you can just go to bed. I think you've had enough. You've had way too many beers. I think you've hammered me tonight. Shoulders, ego, freaking everything else. Turton Road hooligans. Fucking they were the days. They were the days. Schedule the friggin' fight. Friggin' bottles and friggin' broken glass from the Melbourne Victory fans from the train at Broadmeadow. Fucking storming bloody Turton Road, mate. Those were the days. Hayden's the DJ. There you go. 6 yards is how close we need to get to score. Bring back Tinkler. No thanks. Too many plastics in Newey. Absolutely, Chatty. On the Jimmy Cans, on your Chatty. Well done. Any Newcastle friggin' guys here, mate, friggin' looking to play football, go down and see Chatty at Barnsley. Friggin' president of Barnsley Soccer Club down there, friggin' gets in, has a good go, and doing all the good things down that way. So get on to the Bulldogs. I think it's Barnsley Bulldogs. It's a Bulldog logo, so we'll run with the Bulldogs. I wouldn't know because they're friggin' too massive for me to play there, so I wouldn't get in. My shoulders wouldn't get through the door, as Benny suggested.
Or the ego.
Mate, I'd be stroking that for days to freaking calm it down to get through that door. Yeah, thanks for the plug. Yeah, send me the shirt. Send me the polo. I'll wear it. I'm going to get one on friggin' Betty for the Western United. If anyone hasn't seen that or missed the last podcast, yes. I'm going to jump into the Western Service crew when they come up to Newey. As I said, it's all for shits and giggles. I get on really well with those guys. Somewhat okay with the Red Army as long as they don't bring the Victory fans. Won't do that again.
Thank you. Cross the body. There is a story behind that, folks, and we can't say due to incrimination.
So yeah, but it'll be a good one. Benny's going to sort out a friggin' Diamante shirt for me, and I'll wear it, and I'll wear it on stream and shit like that next. So, fucking Robbie, want to get a shirt or anything over to me, mate? Friggin' I'll wear it. I'll friggin' strut it in the Jets Bay, mate. I don't give a shit. I'm happy for it.
I'll get you a good one.
Yeah, mate.
Good one, kit. So
fucking sign me up for that. Absolutely.
I'll see if I can get him to sign up for you as well.
Yeah, that would be fabulous, mate. And yeah, I'll wear it. But whenever we play Adelaide over here, fucking let's get it in the Reds Bay. Freaking you'll have to come over. Do an away day over this way.
I'd make sure Redwick Steve hands it to you personally.
Oh my god! Thank God for that. Maybe I can ask him how friggin' his ego compares to friggin' others, because he's got a great.
Do you know
ego.
what? He's actually he's a reasonably good bloke.
He's
I see him. he works around me in the city. He works for the council, and so I catch up with him almost every second or third day. I have a chat, so he's a good bloke.
Yeah, no, freaking, yeah, no, I've had no, yeah, he seems like an absolute legend. So, yeah, I'll have to get a photo with him next time he's freaking come out here, and he can present me with the Goodwin shirt if I don't get it beforehand. Taylor,
Chad made a really good comment there. Taylor Regan is the best to wear the red jersey. I can confirm that he is an absolute goat in my eyes.
I, I've got some. Yeah, I'm not going to say nothing on here. Freaking, mate, Taylor Regan friggin' knows he made Adelaide look good while he was there. He was the ego, proud. I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he turned into a mortal status that Austin bump. That's all I can say.
Nah, friggin'. Pleasure to have you on anyway, mate. We're going to wrap it up there, as we said. Big shout out to Robbie for jumping on, the Red Army. As I said, there's plenty of guys over there, who are about and so forth. As we said, and as we've mentioned on many a podcast, Benny and I, it's about getting around other clubs as well as your own. Supporting the A League as a whole these days, not just as friggin', they're our enemies and la-di-da. We've had coasties on here and so forth. It's all a bit of fun, and it's all about the beers and the banter, and going home safely to your families and shit at the end of the day. And feel free to jump over onto the Facebook and stuff like that. Red Army, you've got a Facebook page and everything else. Feel free, go like that shit. And same as Benny. Benny's in here as well for the Western Service Crew. Western Service Crew have got a Facebook page and so forth. So be sure to jump on that and give them a like and everything else. It's if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel or our Twitch channel, Crossbar Capers, be sure to go do that. We're also on Facebook, over 300 followers on Facebook, so big ups to you guys. We're almost at 300 on the YouTube side as well, so big shout out to you guys for making Benny and I normally sit here talking absolute rubbish for an hour and a half worthwhile. What have we got there? Well, there you go. Benny's whacked it in the chat. So you see, fantastic. You should sit on the couch more often. He's all over. He's plugged it in there. Facebook link there for the Red Army. Thanks, Benny. So yeah, click on that. Go over and give him a plug and give him a like and everything else. What the hell is this?
Chad is on fire tonight. He's absolutely ripping into you, mate.
Well, I haven't even seen it. No, here we go. 299 followers. Josh's family. Wow. Wow.
And if you don't mind a bit of shit posting on Twitter, please follow me. I'll chuck it in the chat.
There you go.
I talk a lot of shit on there, and I do.
That's why I don't follow him on Twitter, because he plugs me. He floods me feed.
No, hey, I post genuine, heartfelt content that may be or may not be of some humour. So, yeah, it's good fun.
No worries, guys. We do thank you again for jumping in for the last hour and a half or so. Benny will be back next week, raring to go with one less tooth, but a cracking smile, I'm sure.
Can I ask it? Can I ask? Is that the tooth, the whole tooth, and nothing but the tooth?
Oh, there he is. He's waited. He was so keen to get it out at the start, and he's freaking whacked it at the end. Chatty be freaking on the floor, rolling with that one. That might have just tipped him over the edge, I think. Just rolled him down the freaking corridor to bed. Chatty's had enough. Go talk to Benno about feet. Love it. Anyway, guys, we'll leave it there. Thanks heaps, guys, for jumping on. Muchly appreciated. Fucking hell, can't take this lot anywhere. Unbelievable. Who'd want to sit here?
About the second time to apologise.
That's right, exactly right. At least we apologise. Take it easy, guys. Enjoy your football wherever you're watching it from. I'll be there on Friday night, as I said. Be sure to come catch when we send me a message or anything like that. If you're going to be around and so forth, I'll let you know where I am, and we'll have a beer and talk some shit, and fucking who knows, bring a megaphone, something, get the active friggin' back to where it should be, and yeah, happy days. Other than that, guys, take it easy. Speak to you guys next week, and we will catch you guys on the next podcast. See you later. That's all done. We'll let it run for a little bit in the chat. So you can talk, we're good, we're just not with them now. Cheers, chat. Lots of love to all. Sweet dreams. Cheers, boys. Good night. Fuck me, Chad. You cunt. Jets might win. Do we not? Oh, fuck. Hang on. Fuck. Yeah, you are. We hear you.